What's going on YouTube? So since its introduction, the MDX has been selling in droves for the Acura brand.
And today we're with the latest 2025 model, which we've been living with for the past week.
So after spending time with this model, is this best-selling Acura a great choice in the segment? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Alright, so we went ahead and popped the hood so we could do our spec dump. Now, under the hood of this loaded model, we have the 3-liter turbocharged V6 engine. This makes 355 horsepower and 354 pound-feet of torque. It's paired to a 10-speed automatic transmission, and of course we have super handling all-wheel drive with a combined fuel economy of 19 mpg.
Now that's not the whole story, because we will be discussing our real-world fuel economy over the past week. We'll also be getting things like our official Kentucky sound level reading, and then after that discussing resale and reliability.
But first, let's go ahead and close up the hood, because for 2025, of course, we got a refresh to the exterior design as well as the interior. Now, when it comes to the exterior refresh, what Acura did was basically refine the overall formula that's been very successful with this MDX. We didn't think that it needed a bunch of big changes, and based on the reception of people that we showed this vehicle to over the last 7 days, they also think that it is a very attractive looking SUV. Now that begins up here in the front. Of course, you've got that signature diamond pentagon grille with the huge Acura badge. That is going to be the same for 2025, but this is a different look to it. It's the frameless design, and we also have the Type S, so this is going to be the most aggressive looking in the lineup, with special touches down here on your lower fascia, particularly in this area. Now, let's talk about our headlights. Of course, you've got those signature jewel eye full LED headlights. As you can see, got that crystal look. You also have the chicane-shaped daytime running light and turn signal indicator. And most of your models will also come with LED fog lamps down below. Now, moving around to the back, of course, you are going to see some subtle enhancements for 2025 as well.
Yeah, I don't think they really needed to change a lot, because this is a very handsome SUV. Now, we have a spoiler up top, a wiper, and then we also have some darkened taillights. Now, the overall shape has not really changed much for 2025, but like I said, it's a little darker for that sporty look, and it's also going to be full LED. You have an LED brake light, turn signal, and reverse light. I also like that the turn signal is the nice amber color. As we drop down to this lower fascia, all of this is body color or a piano black, and since we have the top-end Type S model, we're going to have quad exhaust outlets. Now, other MDXs will also get a dual exhaust setup, but I do really like the quad look. 3,500 pounds for your tow rating with front-wheel drive, or 5,000 with all-wheel drive.
Next up, let's talk about our wheel options. There are new designs across the board. Of course, we do have a lot of different choices as well. This is the largest option. It's a 21-inch alloy wheel. You got the Y-spoke design. I think it looks very nice, especially because we've got those red brake calipers. These are Brembo brakes, and that's included here on this higher performance Type S variant. Now, also this model this week has been finished in a new color for 2025. This is Urban Gray. I think it looks really good, especially when you pair that with the gloss black accents you have around the wheel arches, as well as the lower part of the body. Just be aware that that is Type S exclusive. Most of the time you're going to have a matte black, or the advanced model will finish it in body color. So you can kind of choose which type of design you like best inside of the MDX lineup. Also, the mirrors will be finished in a gloss black as well, and these do have all the features on board. So we have heating, blind spot monitoring, power folding, and auto dimming.
At the side of the MDX, you will notice an overall vehicle length of about 198 inches, which actually makes this one of the smaller 3 rows in the segment. Now, as far as design touches for the Type S, we have blacked out roof rails. You can get those on the advanced grades of the MDX. And then as far as your safety systems are concerned, Acura has improved those for 2025, and you're going to have all of your active safety features as standard equipment on every MDX. The only exception to that is that this fully loaded model, the Type S, does have additional features such as auto lane change. But guys, let's go ahead and dive into the interior, which is quite bougie. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
All right, so let's go ahead and check out the interior now. First, here is our key fob, typical Acura key fob. It does have special Type S branding on the fob though, to kind of distinguish it a little bit. You will have remote start on the fob for your advanced trim levels as well. And then just reach behind the handle, that will unlock the door of course, and fold out the mirror. But let's check out the interior here. So this is a real attention grabber. I believe Mason just described it as bougie, and I think that is a good way to describe it because really it kind of elevates the Acura brand to a place that it has never really been before. And here we are. Let's check out these seats. So we have a beautiful full Milano leather seat, or excuse me, it does have a suede insert in the bolster for the Type S, but mostly a Milano leather with this great looking curved stitching design all throughout. It's got Type S in the headrest, color contrast piping, and obviously it's blue. So that itself really stands out a lot. You've got many other color choices as well, depending on which trim level you choose. Now the seats themselves have 16 ways of power adjustment on this version. 12 ways is what's going to be standard. These have power adjusting bolsters, thigh extension, and you even have massage abilities, which this is a very good massage as well. It's not just a lumbar massage. It does actually kind of pinch at you and dig in, which is exactly what you want it to do. But let's go ahead and get inside. You get a prolonged sound effect when you shut the door, but you can turn that off if you don't like it. And let's look at the rest of the cabin materials. So over here we have, of course, a leatherette covering all across the armrest and center section, soft touch plastic along the top. We've got a genuine open pore wood with a dark finish running through there. Going to the upper dashboard, again, all finished in the leatherette. More of that beautiful open pore wood kind of traces along the top. Got a panel of Pinot Black that finishes out the center section, and then more of the leather padding along the console, although it does stop before it gets to this section. Let's go ahead and fire it up with our push button start. And now that it's fired up, let's talk about some of the individual details. As you can see, we do have a full digital gauge cluster on board. It's 12.3 inches. A few aspects of the design are reconfigurable. If you choose the advanced model and above, you will get a head-up display in addition to the gauge cluster. And we do actually have some real-world feedback we want to talk about when it comes to this head-up display. And that is the fact that it's actually very, very large, but you wouldn't be able to know it most of the time. As you can see right now, you just have that one number on there. It's in the bottom left corner of the display. But if you actually go to adjust it, you'll see that the boundaries of this head-up display are actually very, very large. It's just mostly completely unutilized. It's kind of strange, and I really think Acura should just go ahead and put some additional information up there. Nevertheless, we do have rain-sensing wipers. We, of course, have a nice steering wheel. This is the special Type S version of the steering wheel, which means you have Type S branding, of course. It's flat bottom. Nice perforated leather. Feels nice in the hand as well. It is power, tilt, and telescoping, and we have steering wheel heating right there. Now, let's get into the updated interior storage. So if you watched our first review of this model, this is a redesigned console for 2025 to kind of increase the functionality. First of all, let me pop open the top tier. This would just be for some small, valuable objects. It has a rubber lining inside, so it won't rattle around. The rest of your storage is located right there. So, of course, as you can see, we have donuts inside because here at Car Confections, we like to do the donut test and see how many fit inside so we can check the volume of the center console. Today we fit in 12 donuts, so that is a full dozen, obviously, and that means it does pass the donut test. I'm happy with this amount of storage. It is felt lined, and there's 2 USB-Cs inside as well. Now, a big part of the redesigned console is enlarging this wireless phone charging pad. As you can see, it's much larger than it was before. It's going to be able to accommodate any type of phone. It is also standard equipment on every single trim level this year. And then you have another little storage cubby right there. Great size for a sunglass holder. And while we're down here in this console area, we might as well go ahead and take a sample of the audio system with the physical volume knob, because this is undoubtedly one of Mason and I's favorite aspects of the interior, because the Type S comes with the high-end 31 speaker 1700 watt Bang & Olufsen sound system. That's new for 2025. It replaces the ELS sound system. And let's go ahead and hear it. So as Mason was showing you guys, you've got speakers all over the place inside of this cabin. Obviously, you have 31 of them, and the sound quality is tremendous. It really fills up the cabin super nicely. It's very balanced, it's very rich and detailed as well. And we decided that it's definitely as good as the upcharge audio system on a lot of German cars, the one that cost you $5,000 extra. This is every bit as good as that. Now, moving into this area, of course, you've got that signature push-button style shifter that Acuras have had for a while. Press down for drive, press again for sport mode, and you do have paddle shifters on the steering wheel. Pull the trigger for reverse. Here is our 360 camera. This is included on advanced grades and above, and you can switch between some different views. The camera's a little dirty right now, which is why it looks not too great, but it is normally a very good quality camera resolution as well. You have your brake hold system over there on the side, and then this is where you have some additional USBs that actually kind of pop out of the dashboard. Now, taking a look at our climate controls, you do have a 3-zone automatic setup as standard equipment. Thankfully, you've got physical knobs here where you can make those adjustments. Actually kind of lights up as you make the adjustment up and down. Underneath of that, you have some additional functionalities, again, with all physical buttons. And we also have automatic 3-stage heated seats as well as 3-stage ventilated seats. And then let's move up here to our main display. So the biggest upgrade of the interior really is with this interior technology. So we have a 12.3-inch display, but what is important is the fact that they have brought this closer. So now it's within your reach, and it is a touchscreen. So you can see it's very nice and responsive and does have additional functionality as well for 2025 because we have Google Apps actually built into the system itself. So you can get into Google Maps, for instance, just natively right in the system itself. You also have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay if you'd rather use those systems as well. All in all, this really makes a huge difference, I think, with the cabin experience, just to be able to reach up here, engage with this system. Everything just works so much better than that previous very finicky touchpad, plus frees up the extra space that we were talking about earlier. Up top here, we have an auto-dimming mirror with 3 HomeLink universal remotes. And then, of course, as you would expect, we do have a panoramic sunroof as well. Good power sunshade that's reasonably fast. The front panel does open up.
Now let's dive into the rear seat area because, of course, this is an MDX after all, which means that you'll be using this quite frequently for family duty. Now, as far as the space is concerned, we have really good figures. We're going to be sitting at about 38 inches of both leg room and headroom. Pretty class competitive, although it's not going to be like the largest thing that you can get in the entire segment. As far as the seat adjusted to Drew's 5'8" driving position, I'm 5'9" for reference. We are looking at a very solid about 8.5 inches of additional knee room. My feet cannot slide up underneath the seat though, so over the past week that I've been riding in the back of this car occasionally, I have found that to be a little uncomfortable, the fact that I can't slide my feet up underneath of the seat, but I do have the ability to recline this seat quite a good distance, which really adds to your comfort. Now, speaking of the seats, you'll notice that we have a bench seat back here, which means we have seating for 7 total. However, that's not the only thing. You can actually pull that little strap there, and that's actually going to allow for a full center pass-through. So if you don't need that extra seat, you can have kind of like more of an executive style setup with 2 cup holders inside and a little bit more storage. Yeah, you can also actually remove this seat entirely if you prefer to do that. Now, let's go ahead and look at the center console. As far as some of your features, we have 3-zone climate, so we have our own temperature adjustment back here. Additionally, we have heated rear seats. That comes on your advanced grades and above. Your vents are down below there. We have a 12-volt power outlet, 2 USB-C ports, and this is where a household outlet should be, but is not. So I wish they would have added that feature. Now, if you turn over to the door trim, the door trim is going to be nicely done. Tech models and above are actually going to get this rear window sunshade, and then the materials are the same as the front: metal speaker grills, open pore wood, leather trim throughout, and there's a lot of storage as well. It actually will fit the full Stanley water bottle, no problem whatsoever. This is a big bottle. Fits right there, and you have space to spare, so very practical. And let's check out the third row. So in order to get back here, it's quite easy. You just press that button right there. It's electronically going to slide the seat out of the way. Also, you would not have to remove a child seat. And let's dive into this third row area. Now, we're going to be sitting at about 29 inches of leg room, about 36 inches of headroom. So those are not fantastic space figures. It's going to be okay. Definitely you're going to get a much better third row in a Lexus TX, for instance. And do keep in mind there are only 2 seats back here. So not a bunch of seats can fit back here. And then as far as features are concerned, it's also going to be a little bit on the sparse end. We have cup holders. We also have a charging USB port, but no vents on the MDX. That's something we've asked for many years from Acura. They still have not added vents here in the third row, so on a hot day you might suffocate, and a cold day you might be a little chilly. As far as how it rates on our third row rating scale, I'm going to say this is going to be fit for kids. Now, walking up to the tailgate, you have a standard power one on every MDX. Advanced models and above will give you the hands-free ability with the walk-away auto closing. And as far as the space is concerned, let's dive into that as well. Now, if you're paying attention on the outside, I said this is actually a little smaller than most of the rivals, and that does show up here in the cargo area. 16 cubic feet behind the third row, 39 cubic feet behind the second row, and has a maximum about 72 cubic feet. Now, if I fold those third row seats down, you can see that they are going to be manually folding. So no power folding third row is offered on the MDX. And in order to fold the second row of seats, I do have to go up there and manually do it from the second row. And once I do that, you get a completely flat loading floor, which I certainly appreciate. And this is a Car Confections review after all, so let's get our cargo length, width, and height figures. The seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", as I mentioned earlier. Overall cargo length, 84 inches, which is pretty good. Behind the second row of seats, expect about 46 inches. Behind the third row seats, expect about 19 inches of length. As far as opening width, 46 inches wide, and as far as height, 29 inches tall. Underneath of the floor, you actually have quite a bit of additional space, so definitely don't sleep on that. As you can see, we fit an entire backpack. You could even fit extra stuff on the side of that. Do note that certain versions of the MDX will get a spare tire. It's not on this Type S specifically. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2025 Acura MDX. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a few different things, as you can see on the screen right now, and getting our official sound level reading. But first, we want to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration. Nice.
All right, and there we are at a little over 60 miles per hour. Now, like we said at the spec dump, this is the Type S. So that means that you have the highest performance engine option, a 3-liter turbocharged V6 engine, 355 horsepower and 354 pound-feet of torque on deck. That's a pretty substantial improvement over what all of the rest of the trim levels are going to come with. That's going to be a 3.5-liter naturally aspirated V6 engine. The good thing, though, that is common between them is just an overall sense of refinement. So, being 6 cylinders, these are very smooth engines. When you get after them, they really deliver power nicely. It's good performance as well, especially with this. You are looking at a pretty quick amount of power. It's not like a BMW M rivaling amount of an AMG, but it definitely is fast enough.
Yeah, and I think especially if you compare it to some of the other rivals, maybe the Lexus TX, for instance, where if you get a fully loaded trim level and its base engine setup, it's going to have so much more refinement than a turbocharged 4-cylinder that some of the rivals will be giving you. So I really love that aspect about the MDX.
sound is pretty nice too. It has a nice growl to it, and you can also hear the turbocharger kind of faintly in the background. Now, as far as the other aspect of the powertrain, you've got a 10-speed automatic transmission on board. Overall performance of this transmission is pretty good. This is Honda's and Acura's in-house developed transmission, and it is pretty smooth overall in terms of your shift quality. We have both experienced just intermittently an occasional rough shift where it seems like it might be a little confused about what gear it should be in, but that's, pretty few and far between. Most of the time it has, quite good shift quality. Also, when you put it in sport mode, obviously it's going to kind of firm things up in terms of the shift.
Yeah, and as far as how the power is routed to the ground, you have standard front-wheel drive or optional SH all-wheel drive. Now, do keep in mind some of the trim levels will be all-wheel drive exclusive, including this Type S. All right, and we are speeding up to about 55 miles per hour. So I think that's a great time for us to go ahead and get our Kentucky official sound level reading. Now, a couple things I want to point out before we get the reading is the fact that Acura claims that on the tech model and above this year, they've really improved the sound deadening for this. So I'm super excited to actually put that to the test. Our rear climate is turned off, and we have it on fan speed 1, which is our standard affair for our testing. So let's go ahead and see how quiet it is. 56.5 decibels is what we are sitting at for this MDX, and I don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to some of the rivals. I can go to carconfections.com/sound level readings and see just how it compares. And as far as how that compares, that actually will be a little bit louder than some of the other MDX readings that we've gotten. I don't know if that's because it's the Type S variant or the specific days, conditions, or whatnot. It isn't really all that windy outside, but that's a decent sound level reading. It's going to be pretty much middle of the segment. And we haven't mentioned it yet, but let's also talk about ride quality while we're cruising down the highway section now. One of the really amazing things about having a vehicle and living with it for a full week is the fact that you get, a lot of experience on different road textures to discern things like overall ride quality. And I have to say, I absolutely love the way this vehicle rides. Even with 21-inch alloy wheels on the outside, this Type S does a fantastic job of soaking up the bumps. And why is it able to do that? Well, you have a standard air suspension for this model, and it really just gives you fantastic ride quality. This is one of the best riding vehicles that you can get in the segment. I'm very happy with it. And we also have driven other versions of the MDX. More standard models don't get the air suspension, and they also ride really nicely. However, Drew will talk about this a little bit later. The air suspension allows you to have that adjustability when it comes to dynamics.
Now, we toggled into Sport Plus mode to show off a little bit of that performance and dynamic characteristics. Alright, so that was a nice little corner to go around. And as Mason was kind of introducing the idea of the air suspension being adaptive, so that, in addition to the added comfort, really is the reason that it's here on the Type S, is because it can really firm things up and give you a lot better handling as you go around corners. It keeps the body roll nice and managed. There is still, a little bit of body roll, but it is managed quite well. Also, the steering is real sharp. As you can see, you get that immediate response when you go off center. The heft really dials up. The throttle response gets more aggressive. The shift quality gets more aggressive. And overall, you can hustle this and have a little bit of fun in this for sure. What they have done really does improve the overall formula. In that regular MDX, I don't think you'd want to take a corner as hard as I just took a corner.
And let's discuss fuel economy. Now, I want to give you your EPA ratings first. So with the standard 3.5 liter model, you're going to be sitting at 22 mpg or 21. If you choose the Type S variant, you'll be sitting at 19 miles per gallon combined. Now, when it comes to our real world fuel economy that we've been experiencing with the Type S MDX, we got an overall rating of about 18 miles per gallon. All right, let's get into our Car Confections Slam Dunk and Airball. Drew, why don't you kick us off with the Slam Dunk, our favorite element about the MDX?
Yeah, with this 2025 refresh, it has got to be the technology improvement.
Oh, yeah.
This was the number one cited thing that people were saying in the comments previously about the MDX, that they weren't buying it because the technology was not up to par with the competition. That weird little trackpad was difficult to use, and thankfully they have finally given up on that and just given us what we wanted all along, which is a touchscreen. And then they even went the extra mile and gave us Google Apps built in.
Yeah, love that aspect of it. Now, on the Airball side of things, which is our least favorite thing about the MDX, still disappointed by a couple different things that I wish they had added. For one, the power folding third row, as well as vents in the third row. I understand you can't change the size when it comes to a refresh. Of course, it's going to stay in the same overall shape and size. However, adding features like that is really an expectation when it comes to a luxury vehicle that costs nearly $80,000 as tested today. You want rear vents and you want a power folding third row. Lastly, as far as warranty is concerned, you have a 4-year, 50,000-mile basic warranty, 6-year, 70,000-mile powertrain warranty. You additionally have 1 year of complimentary maintenance. Do be aware it's been reduced down to 1 year. It previously was 2 years on the 2024 MDX. And let's discuss pricing for this model. Now, the prices will rise for 2025. It's about $1,000, although some trims have risen a little bit more than that. We start at $50,900 for the base model. As we go up the trim structure, you end in this Type S model, which is now basically Type S Advanced exclusive. It used to have a cheaper version of the Type S. Now that has been discontinued. We start at $74,950. Now, if you want a model like what we've optioned today, just a few extra accessories on there, about $76,000. If you're looking to buy an Acura MDX or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, the reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. But buying a car is about more than just the original MSRP. So let's go ahead and discuss resale and reliability. Let's talk about resale value for this MDX. Now, as an economics graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this potential resale value. Now, we estimate after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 49.9% of its original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 21%. Now, it's worth noting for luxury brands, that is actually a very good figure. It's only below, really, Lexus and the luxury side of things, and it's pretty much right at industry average, which is impressive, like I said, for a luxury setup. Much better than BMW, Mercedes, and Audi.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several studies from trustworthy sources and combines them in a way that paints a more holistic picture. In this regard, Acura is above the overall industry average for all vehicle makes. It's actually going to be the second highest rated luxury division.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values or reliability data, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. Guys, that's going to be it for our 7-day-long in-depth review of the refreshed 2025 Acura MDX. Now, if you enjoyed watching this video, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you tell the manufacturers that you value this type of content, and they're the ones that send us this for a full week. So please subscribe if you haven't already, and we give you all those real-world impressions. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.